Hi, my name is Ross Kratter. I am a bass player based here in the New York area. I want to tell you about something that my friends at Phil Jones Bass have just sent me to try out. It's a brand new product called the PE-5. It's right here. What it is a preamp and DI box that you can use. It's basically the signature Phil Jones sound, but in a stomp box size, which I think is incredibly awesome and something that is sorely needed for people like me as well, because a lot of the time when I tour or when I'm working in theater situations, for example, I'm not allowed to have an amp on stage or in the pit. So in order to have the Phil Jones sound, I would need to carry a big head around and use the DI from that. But having something in stomp box size is absolutely incredible, because I can just carry this and this is my sound. This is the sound I know and love and have loved for several years. So here's a little more about the PE-5. So it has a 5-band EQ on board. The 5 bands are low bass, high bass, mid, low treble, and high treble for that extra clarity and brightness, I guess. It also has knobs for the master level as well as gain. It has the all-important mute switch, which when you're changing instruments or you just need to mute your signal altogether is invaluable. And you don't see it on too many DI boxes, so I'm very glad that Phil has included that on this. It also has an on-off switch, which I believe would enable you to still have this on your board and have your signal come through it, but not have it affect your sound if you have it switched off. One of the coolest things that this has is over by the input here, it has a switch that can switch the impedance, because if you're playing upright bass with a piezo pickup, that needs higher impedance than magnetic pickups on electric bass do. Something that Phil has done here is he's included a switch right here by the input, where if you're playing an instrument with a piezo pickup, you just switch the switch over to the piezo side. Magnetic, you switch it to the magnetic side. And thus, you'll get a similar level, whereas normally with a piezo pickup, if you plug that in, you have to turn it up much higher than you would with magnetic pickups, because it needs a higher impedance level. It also has a switch here, where right now I have it set to post, but you can also send the signal pre-EQ to front of house if the engineer insists on a dry pre-EQ signal. I don't know why they would if you're sending them a sound and you have that sound on stage too. But it does happen. I've had that asked for before. It has an XLR out that you would send out to front of house, as well as a 1/4 inch out that goes to your amp. Those can be used at the same time, of course, just like any other DI box. Another one of the coolest things about this is that it can be powered by a regular wall wart. It also, inside the unit, has a lithium-ion battery, much like you'd see in a smartphone. And what I've never seen the pedal before is it's rechargeable via USB. That is mind-blowing. Usually you'd see 9-volt batteries, or you just have to plug it in. But Phil has devised a system where you can plug a USB cable in. Again, I have never ever seen this before on a pedal. And you can just recharge it that way. How cool is that? I'm going to do some demos for you on both electric bass and upright bass, because the guys at Phil Jones Bass have asked me to kind of show this box off and show what it can do for both. Alright, so here's an example of what this PE-5 sounds like with a bass like this. Now if I scoop the mids a little bit and I put my coil tap on, I will get a more kind of Marcus Miller-y sound. I'm usually a kind of a flat EQ guy in general, but having the mids scooped like that allows for less clankiness if I'm slapping, which I just was. If I boost the mids a little bit, let's hear how much that. I'll show you also what it sounds like with a fretless bass. So I will use the mute switch here, and I'll change instruments. So I'm back to a flat EQ now on the bass and on the preamp. This bass is a little buzzy, please excuse that. I'm going to boost the mids, and we're going to hear. Just makes the artificial harmonics really soar. I like having boosted mids when I'm playing fretless bass like this. It really makes the bass sing even more than it already does. This is a pretty dark sounding bass, pretty bottom heavy, but if I boost the mids a little bit, it gives me that extra clarity that I really need to get the upper register heard, and just a little less muddiness, and I really like that. And I like that I can do that just with the turn of a switch right here, or turn of a knob, excuse me. So that's what that sounds like with the fretless bass. Alright, so this is my upright bass. As I mentioned earlier, I have switched the impedance on the PE-5 here over to the piezo side so that I can have the right level for this bass. Now what I've done also to really give myself some more attack and to even out the sound a little bit is I've boosted the treble, both bands of the treble as well as the mids. So that sounds a little scratchy, right? So let me make some changes here. I'm going to bring the treble down just a tiny bit, especially the high treble. And I'm going to see what that does in terms of the scratch factor on the arco sound. This is just about the best I've ever gotten this to sound with a pickup with the bow, which is amazing. I'm not a pickup person in general. I actually, when I record, I use a combination of 2 or 3 different microphones, and when I play live, I use a microphone that fits in under the fingerboard here. Unless I'm in louder situations, in which case, yeah, I'll use the pickup. But now that the PE-5 is in my arsenal, I am probably going to use the pickup on more gigs than I used to because I can really refine the sound even more. Just walk a chorus of the blues for you, and so you can really hear. We go back to that boosted mids, boosted treble, so you can get a little more attack in the sound. And here we go. That's a sound that I am not used to getting out of a pickup on my bass. And my bass is 83 years old. It's been through a lot. It's an amazing sounding instrument, but I like the way it sounds acoustically. This is letting me come close to getting my acoustic sound with a pickup, which I have never ever gotten before. So I'm pretty thrilled with the PE-5 here, and I hope that my telling you about it will inspire you to maybe go out and get one yourself. Thanks a lot.